Hi everybody. Waiting for a few of you to come on so we can start this lovely subject of depression. All right. Hi Gus. Hi Gloria. Hi Tanya. Hi Judy. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and get started because you guys know I just go with these things. So welcome to my living room. You guys can see my monk back there with the bunny ears and a cool trick that I figured I'd do since I'm on my phone again. Desiree, Rosa, hi you guys. So welcome again, you guys. I'm hoping you guys are enjoying these videos. Remember, you're going to have them all on YouTube. If you guys are looking for that link, I'll go ahead and post it again. But that's where all of my videos are going to be uploaded, okay? So after you've seen them here, I take the time and load them on that side. So today's subject looks like a Debbie Downer, but I promise at the end of it, it won't be. It's depression. I want to say all of us, if not many of us, who know me and I know you, either you've gone through therapy with me, either your family or something, we've all gone through depression. Depression is that state where you don't want to do shit. You're tired of life. Nothing makes you happy. There's a lot of emotional things that go through your mind, but there's also physical feelings. And these are what I'm going to be breaking down, okay? So it looks like there's a majority of you on, about 15, 14. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and just break down the etymology because you guys know I'm about code and breaking things down and defining things. So hi, Ceci. Maria Lisa. Oh, hi. So I'm going to go ahead and just break it down, okay? So depression in the etymology online.com, I'm going to go to the origins of the word. And then I'm going to define it according to Google. And then I'm going to break down emotions and feelings because you guys need to know the differences between those two in order to be able to tackle this later, okay? And then I'm also going to give you guys the how-tos on how I overcame my depression, how I overcame a lot of things that happened within these last 2 years, okay? Hi, sister. Hi, Emma. Hi, Melissa. Sarah. Oh my God, there's a lot of you. Awesome. Okay, so I'm so glad you guys are enjoying these. So depression. Again, I'm on the etymology site. As a noun, in the 1400s, a term in astrology, angular distance, a star below the horizon. Below. Just FYI, okay? So from Old French, depression, 14c, and directly from medieval Latin, depression, nominative depressio, noun from action, from past participle stem of Latin deprimir, okay, to press down, and then it says to see depress, okay. So in the literal sense, it says act of pressing down, state of being pressed down. So again, with the current events and everything going on right now, if you guys pay attention, if some of you lost your jobs or income or some of you got really shaken up by what's happening, maybe you guys now know somebody who just caught this flu that's going around, okay? No, I'm not comparing it to the flu, but it has a lot of symptoms. Anyway, so a lot of panic has shaken a lot of you guys up. So a lot of us, if we've been in depression mode before and we've made this a habit instead of tackling things head on, we will tend to go into this mode, okay? Or into this, learned behavior, okay? So if any of you grew up with depressed parents, we know this all too well, okay? So it's the act of being pressed down or a state of being pressed down, okay? It attests from the 1650s, the meaning dejection, state of sadness, sinking of the spirits. And then we'll go into alcohol a little bit in there in a minute. As a clinical term in psychology from the 1905. The meteorological sense from is from 1881, and it talks about a barometric pressure. So on a barometer, like, they measure pressure as in how high or how low. If you guys have ever stuck one of those little air pressure meters into the tire, and then it has a little thing stick out. So kind of like that on a barometer pressure. So I'm going to share on my Facebook. Let me see if it'll let me, because I have my other computer here. So it's a melancholy depression. So that's kind of what it gets into. Now, a lot of you already know what depression is, or what being in the state of depression is, okay? Can you guys hear me okay? Hi, Vicky. Hi, Estela. Hi, Frank. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me okay. That way I don't have to move this microphone. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Anybody? Anybody? Thumbs up. Give it a heart, give it a like. There we go. Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. So that is the etymology. So it comes from all the way back from the 1400s. Okay, you guys? So in astronomy, it means below the horizon, and moving forward in a psychological sense, it's pretty much a state of being pressed down or having pressure upon you, okay? There's also a little note in here that also goes into okay, so check this out. So after the barometer, a meaning, a lowering or a reduction in economic activity. Interesting, right? Interesting how depression and the etymology, which takes you back to the origins, okay, of the word, would have anything to do with economy. Now, that's also why it was called the Great Depression, okay? So I want you guys to just go ahead and start to kind of let that sink in right now, okay? So in the definition of depression, it's still a noun, a feeling of severe despondency or dejection. Self-doubt creeps in and then swiftly turns into depression. And then term 2, a long and severe recession in an economy or market. The depression in the housing market, okay? So automatically, a lot of us go into this depression mode. Automatically, we're already thinking lack. Oh my God, I'm not gonna have enough. You guys go into this state because it's a learned behavior. So here's the difference between emotions and feelings. Emotions are event driven and feelings are learned behavior, okay? But not only that, let's just take it even a bit further. So emotions can manifest consciously or unconsciously. I'll give you an example. Maybe for my ladies out there, or maybe for the guys too. Maybe you've experienced this happen. When you're with someone that you have connected with and all of a sudden you get intimate and you get to your climax, cry. I don't know how many girls can actually attest to this or even want to give me a thumbs up, but I know it's happened to me, and it was with somebody that I wasn't super in love with. I cared for them, but all of a sudden I just started to cry, and they're like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I don't know. So consciously or subconsciously, it's an emotion that will cause something to come up and you don't even know why it's happening, okay? Fine, if we're not going to talk about an orgasm, we could talk about a commercial. All of a sudden you're watching a commercial and then all of a sudden you're getting choked up and you want to cry, or you get the chills or something, okay? So, but it's consciously or unconsciously this will happen. However, an emotion isn't an actual feeling on your body, okay? We'll go into feelings, and this is where people get things messed or kind of confused, because we tend to say feelings and emotions are the same thing, but they're really not. And feelings are on a conscious level and they're very learned behavior, okay? So what it's like to be racist. You think that our kids grow up learning to hate or to be a certain way to a certain race unless they were taught? I just want you guys to think about that and let that sink in. Unless you're taught, don't hold his hand, or he has cooties because of the color of their skin. We're taught those things. So it's learned behavior, okay? So I just want you guys to go ahead and start to notice the difference. So there's actually this upward and downward spiral of, it's like an emotional guidance. So the higher you are on the scale and everything, I'm sure if you guys haven't heard of the megahertz or the vibration frequency that words put out, I want you guys to go ahead and Google it. They have actually tracked the vibration of certain words. I know Doreen Virtue had a book at some point where she actually measured them, and you can measure the frequency of how off the chart it went or how tense or how little it was. You can also see this with the Message in the Water by Dr. Emoto, E-M-O-T-O. Oh, my family's on. Oh, this is awesome. All right. So I want you guys to pay attention. There's an upward and a downward scale. This is why I say, where are you guys at on your emotional scale? So when you guys are on a downward scale, and it'll go from like a neutral level up and then a neutral level down. Hi, Nick. So we have boredom. How many of you are sitting around at home being bored? How many of your kids have said they're bored? You guys can engage. You guys are absolutely okay to use that little typer. I want to see what's going on. So if you have kids or if you've been bored yourself, it's because you're probably getting into that state. Or you've probably had enough, or really you just don't know what else to do. So then we have the pessimism. This is horrible. I can't believe this person and that person. We're constantly trying to blame someone. Okay. Then we have the overwhelmment of, oh my goodness, how are we going to... Thank you, Diana. Thank you. Hi, honey. So we have the whole overwhelming of, how am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to pay the car? How am I going to do this? Then all of a sudden you're overwhelmed. Okay. So just remember, this is depression to be pressed upon, and this will cause you to go down. I'm beating my kids Northtown style, Nick. I know Northtown style. We know that. Get the chancla, get the cable, watch out. So then you're into the disappointment. I can't believe this is happening in the world right now. What is going on? So mind you, I'm reading. You're going into doubt, worry, blame, discouragement, anger, revenge, hatred, rage, jealousy. Then you get into the insecurity, the guilt, the unworthiness, the fear, the grief, the depression, the powerlessness, and the victimization. This is the lowest on the scale that you can go. That's why they say you haven't hit rock bottom until you've hit rock bottom. And this is a lot of times when you've gone through depression, some type of depressed state, you will have a lot of changes in your mood. You'll have a lot of things that just change for you. I can tell you that when I went through my breakup and heartache and I felt like my world was going to end, or why was I still here? Don't mind my dogs. I wanted, and I got to a point within myself that I didn't want to be here anymore. I didn't want to be here. So funny, some guy said I'm not all that just because I'm staying home. I'm so bored I'm cooking without anyone having to say they're hungry. I hate the kitchen. I'm not depressed. I feel empowered. Beautiful. So you're on the upper scale, Eileen. So when I went through my whole emotional downward spiral, I got to the point of depression where you can become a functioning depressionist. I don't know, what would you call that? You can become very functioning, just like when there's functioning alcoholics, just like when there's functioning. Hey roommates, will you guys come get the dogs? If you guys are watching my live. What? What? You guys are interrupting. It's rude. It's rude. My Facebook people don't appreciate it. Oh, goodness. Okay. Anywho. So, when you're going through this... Hold on, you guys. Just 2 seconds here. 2 seconds. Go outside? Come on. Let's go outside. Say hi to Facebook. Go. So I'll just talk to you guys from here because he's about to knock back on the window. Anyway, when I was going through this, I had a lot of suicidal thoughts. I had a lot of thoughts of revenge. I had a lot of thoughts of wanting, not necessarily to kill this person, but it was more of a, I really wish I would have never met you, and I hope you fucking die. Because we all get through those states. However, that's also what impulsed me to become now who I am. So in no way do I wish this person any kind of harm. I still love them. I love them dearly, and I hope they're living their best life. However, I had to get to that point and realize that I was being a victim. That I was allowing someone else to have power over me or to press upon me. Okay, feelings and emotions that maybe I didn't want to deal with at the moment. However, because in knowing all of the tools that I had, it was kind of almost ridiculous for me to feel this way, even knowing and having all the knowledge. Are we done? Now they're barking at people outside. Come on, Adonis. Inside. All right, I'm back. So I went through this entire emotional scale of wanting revenge and having doubts and questioning who I was and questioning my integrity in the relationship, their integrity in the relationship. But I went through all of these feelings and emotions. The feelings are the side effects that I had. I lost my appetite. A lot of you guys know that I shed a whole ton of weight. Not just because I was dancing, but because I wasn't eating. My appetite went entirely out the window. There was nothing I wanted to eat. Anything that I used to like didn't taste the same. I didn't want to have sex. I mean, that's just a side effect of depression. So there's several side effects, and people that don't commonly or won't openly talk about it. I felt unworthy. I felt as if I was like a piece of garbage. Like there was so many things that came up with my depression, and really, they don't want me to talk about this. Apparently, lay down, relax. So, I'm gonna have you guys wait just a second, okay? Oh my goodness. Upstairs. Let's go. Go. Trish, will you grab them? Will you grab them? They're being loud. And I'm back. Sorry, guys. Okay, so you go through this emotional scale. It's to when you guys finally decide they need love. Cue to commercials. I love you guys. So now I'm all out of breath and shit. Anywho, there's a lot of side effects that you guys go through, or I went through. I'll just talk about myself. I definitely had a loss of interest in hanging out with certain people. I just felt misunderstood. I felt like, no, read before that. Read before it. They depressed because they ain't getting love. They need a hug. Hold your babies. Oh my God, you guys are hilarious. They got their asses kicked out. They need to poop. Oh my God, you guys are hilarious. Okay. I give them lots of love. I'm with them all day long. Gosh, these dogs are making me look bad. I'm getting hot. Anywho, so you can't concentrate when you're depressed. Your mind is just racing. It's racing to a point where all you want to do is sleep. Or you can't sleep. How many of you aren't sleeping right now? And I'm not saying you're depressed because you can't sleep. But that's because there's so much more going on in the energy, and a lot of people are very empathic by nature. So there's a lot of reoccurring thoughts that happen, and it's a lot to do with your worthiness. And it's a lot to do with what's my purpose. It's then when you start to really dig, to question all these things, if you decide to get out of your victimhood. First of all, you have to admit to yourself that you're depressed. Secondly, you have to admit that you probably need help, and if you don't have your own tools, luckily I had tools, and luckily I had just finished up a whole year of courses in NLP, and I got my Master Neuro-Linguistic Programmer certificate. So know that even with all of this knowledge, I still went to the depth of attempting to take my own life, okay? Depression will hit women harder and more so than men. However, it's the same thing. I've watched the same thing. What did I do? I knew that I needed to put my energy into something. So emotion, you've heard me say it's energy in motion. A lot of the times when we don't allow ourselves to have the emotions of the rage that shows up, the anger that shows up, the disgust, maybe the boredom even, when we don't allow to just sit with them and we judge them, or we want to not be that way, because I've seen very functional people who are depressed, who are constantly in the go, 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 go. I'm here, I'm there, I'm calling people, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Let's go out to eat. Da, 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 da. Depending on who you are and how you are, oh, thank you, sister. Depending on who you are and how you are is how you're going to handle your depression. And it also depends on how you got there, okay? So depression can be just a quick stint, and it really depends on where and how long you want to be there. Nobody can get you out of your depression but yourself. It is the want to get out of it. It is the choice. Just like love is a choice, and I'll go into that later. Now you can feel feelings and emotions when you're in love or when you love someone. You guys like my blanket? I love you. But that's a choice, okay? When we're in these emotions of anticipation even, are they going to call me? Is this job going to call me back? There's all kinds of emotions that are coming up that if you don't allow them to flow through you, okay? And this is when I say there has to be a process. So a lot of the times you will process by crying. Some of us process by dancing. A lot of us, the majority on my Facebook does. Some of us will process by moving our body in another way. Maybe we go to the gym. Maybe we go for a run. Maybe we go hiking. Maybe we take on bike riding. So, hola Marin. Hi Juan. Hi Alexis. Oh, está la prima. Nice. So, you guys really want to pay attention to what it is or how it is that you normally move your energy. A lot of people don't even realize that this is the ways that you guys move your energy, okay? You guys actually move your body. You have to move your body. We have chakras that need to be in rotation, okay? But when you are stagnant, and this is why a lot of the dancers in our community are really having a hard time with this, because a lot of the times we use dance as a way to escape. And it is what I did. Cleaning the house, yes. Dana, you're a hermit, yeah. I'm a Cancer. My Cancer is my rising sign. So I've learned recently that the reason that I seclude myself when I'm going through depression, like, you know how they always say you gotta ask for help? Well, I realize that I push everyone away. When you're depressed, you're either one of those people who pushes everybody away or who functions very normally, and you just want to be out and going about and having this happy face, and nobody knew. I was with this dance company for almost 2 years, and for those first June, July, August, September, 4 months, about 4 months, I had the happiest face on, and I was so depressed. So depressed from April to August. The most depressed I had ever been. And then I go and I lose my job. I lose my income, my really cush job that I had working from home. I had a boss who trusts me, like so many things. Please keep your head up and know that you're not alone. We all need someone to help and talk to. I myself am a veteran. Yeah, geez, yes, Sean, like so many things. A lot of not just the dance community, all the veterans. We come back to something that's not normal when you've been living a certain way, or you've gotten comfortable with living a certain life, and all of a sudden that comes and just gets taken out of you. However, this is why I was saying yesterday, be careful what you're creating, because I remember when I went through my depression, this is when I really went into deep, a lot of people will call it witchcraft, I call it just my craft. I just was doing myself a disservice by not going on both sides and learning about both sides. I know that in this time I learned so much about myself, not about anybody else. Not this last year, the year before, I really learned so much about myself. And it's really digging and knowing what questions to ask. When you don't know what questions you ask, you don't know how to really dig deep, okay? So depression has really been coming up for a lot of you guys. A lot of you don't even want to do these letters that I've given you as an assignment, because you guys have so much. Yeah, I isolate too. I isolated a lot. We tend to not be honest with ourselves. I'm not depressed, I'm fine. Everything's great. And I functioned at this dance studio for about 6 months before I even came clean, or I even showed any kind of attitude. Let's just put it that way. Any bad attitude at that, because I was putting on a face. So a lot of the times, depression, they say, doesn't have a face. No, it smiles, it can be sad, it can be everything. It's about you really wanting to have that switch or that change. So a lot of the dancers or the dance community, we escape to get that movement. We escape our being at home or not being around anybody to have those connections with people, to see if we can find the next connection, okay? To see if we can find the next person and see who we can connect with. People who are often not single, or that jump from one relationship to another, okay, aside from that being an astrology thing, depending on where, anyway, it's a whole other subject. But anyway, people who tend to jump from person to person to person, or who always have someone lined up, tend to get in this depresso mode, because we're used to attention. We are used to having attention from someone or from something, or before we're out of one relationship, we're going into another relationship, or we're already getting some kind of attention from somebody over here, so now I don't feel so alone. Let me tell you guys, those are distractions. And if you're going to go and overcome this clearly, you can't have someone who's maybe taking even your energy from you when you're in this moment. So when I say that love is a choice, because you can experience both the emotions and the feelings. So feelings are always something that you can identify in your body. Okay, I'm always talking about it. If you can feel it, you can heal it. What do you feel when you're in love? You feel butterflies, you feel like there's something in your stomach, or you get a knot in your throat because you can't talk to this person, or you all of a sudden get really flushed and really warm because all of a sudden you're embarrassed, or, you know, good night, Sean. And so you feel all these feelings. You can touch or feel your feelings. It's tingles, it's pain, it's a sharp pain. Where can you feel the pain? Those are the feelings, okay? But if you heard me earlier, I said this is also learned behavior. Over time, there's a certain feeling that you may be accustomed to having around you, which if you had very peaceful parents, which the majority of us probably didn't, especially if you're listening here, serenity. Serenity is something that you can get used to, and how does it feel? What does serenity feel like in your environment? Or did you have a very tense? We all feel it right here, right? It's your muscles are just cramped up, okay? Cramping, that's another feeling. So when you feel all that, when you can identify it in your body, but after a while you learn this behavior. So I'll give you guys an example that I give my clients. Let's just say that you are, and I probably said this in another video, but let's just say you're at the same job for 10 years. And for 10 years you have the same hours. You go to work from 9 to 5. And it takes you about 45 minutes to get to work. Maybe sometimes it takes you a half hour. So you leave your house at 8:30 every day, or 8:15, between 8:15 and 8:45, or 8:30 and 9 o'clock. You are stuck in shitty traffic. Yeah, we've all been there, especially if you live here in Vegas. So we're stuck in traffic. And what do? Do you get irritated? Do you get agitated? Do you get restless? Do you get anxiety? What kind of emotions are you starting to let up? So let's just say that you've been doing this job for the past 10 years. So we'll just call it from 8:30 to 9, okay? So from 8:30 to 9, you are stuck in bumper to bumper traffic Monday through Friday. Let's just say on the 11th year, you decided, fuck this shit, I'm done. Or the universe pushes you off the stage and then it hurts. And then you have no choice but to be home. A lot of you guys are in this situation right now where the universe said, hey, guess what? You're going to be home with your kids. So pay attention to how you wake up. If between Monday through Friday at 8:30 to 9, you've been stuck for the past 10 years in bumper to bumper traffic, and you have adopted certain behaviors to be agitated, to be frustrated, to feel tense, to feel like you have no control over the situation, okay? All of this will show up on the 11th year. Guess at what times? Between 8:30 and 9. You will cause something in your environment to give you those same feelings. So instead of feeling all frustrated because you're in bumper to bumper traffic, a lot of you, I bet you, are turning on the news. Because the news is going to give you the same frustration that you felt between 8:30 and 9 for the last 10 years. So it's learned behavior. Your body gets accustomed to these things. That's why if a lot of you are really into soap operas, which your life is pretty, I wouldn't say boring or dull, but it's not as eventful, you get addicted to drama. Okay? This is why all of these soap operas are so addicting, and this is why our culture, at least in my culture, las novelas, we don't miss the novelas because, oh, did you hear about, and we get all wrapped up and passionate about these people, okay, that we don't even know. And we do it for such a long time that between those hours, now guess what we want to create in our lives for such a long period of time. So when we start to adopt certain other behaviors, okay, like being home and meditating, okay, or paying attention to what your belief systems are on what it's like to be depressed, okay? But when you start adopting different behaviors, say on Wednesdays and Tuesdays you go to a dance class and you're really excited and you're really happy, okay? This is one of the biggest reasons why I joined dance. When I realized if I did not do something with this energy and I didn't move this energy, I would have died. I would have killed myself. 100%, no lie. If I wouldn't have gone to such a place where I just knew better, luckily I'd known better because I've been doing a lot of self-help and a lot of knowledge and the self-help improvement stuff for a really long time. So I knew that I had to put my attention and focus into something. So if you're in a place where you are feeling depressed, as in you feel the pressure coming down on you, and you're overwhelmed and you're on the negative scale of emotions, okay, all those emotions that I just popped off, I'm going to pop them off again. Boredom, pessimism, frustration, irritation, impatience, overwhelm, disappointment, doubt, worry, blame, discouragement, anger, revenge, hatred, rage, jealousy, insecurity, guilt, unworthiness, fear, grief, depression, powerlessness, and victim. Okay? If you're in any of those, I want you guys to just give yourself a moment and pay attention. I started tracking my emotions. I started tracking my feelings, like when I wasn't hungry. I started tracking like certain things throughout my day to see where my mood or my level was. Now I'm going to flip it. So the upward spiral, contentment, even though I have my about those words. Oh, speaking of that, contentment, happy birthday, Edson. Shout out to my husband. If any of you guys are friends with him, let him know I said hello. So hopefulness, optimism, positive expectations and beliefs, enthusiasm, passion, joy, knowledge, empowerment, freedom, love, and appreciation. Those are all the upward scale. Mom said you're talking about her. On which one? The downward or the upward? Just kidding. Don't answer that. I already know. So, when you're on the upper scale, you radiate. There's something about you that people want to know. What are you doing? What are you this? What are you that? And a lot of people started to notice my change after that year in August. Well, not only did I have a name change, because my depression got so deep that I no longer could identify with who I was anymore. When I attempted my suicide, that person died. Okay? Oh my God, you're horrible. So, no, that was one of the biggest reasons that I no longer identify with that person. I can't even talk. I can't even say the name because I just don't identify with it anymore. So when I got to that rock bottom, I realized I had to. Hi, Shelby. You guys, my mentor's on. Everybody say hi to Shelby. So she's actually one of the big major. I found her in July. So between July and she was involved in a lot of my process. So since I've known you did a total 180. I'm happy for you. Thank you, Robbie. Yes, I did. So a lot of you watched me through that process, and a lot of you were like, what are you doing? How are you doing this? But none of you knew that I was depressed. Some of you did, some of you didn't, okay? Some of you had no freaking clue what I was going through. Some of you were so oblivious that you guys just stopped talking to me. Some of you didn't ask me about my job loss. Hey, how are you doing with your job? Nothing. The people that I most wanted to depend on, I felt so misunderstood. But what? Because I realized I was in my victimhood. Now I could, now it's almost kind of like, all right, well, I see where the relationship grew apart and it's okay and I move forward. But again, remember when I told you guys about vibration in my other video where you can take, here, I'll use this because I have it. So let's just say you're this pinch right here. You're the top and your vibration goes up. And let's just say all of your friends are around you, okay? Let's just say all of your friends are around you, and you decide, I'm going to go up on that vibrational scale. You go up, and if they're not with you, they're going to fall off. Because they want to continue to be on a downward spiral. That's why we have energy vampires. So, we'll go into that in a little bit. But how did I know how to process my emotions? Well, first off, I looked for a mentor. I looked for somebody who was going to guide me. Because even though I had all the knowledge, here's the thing about us teachers and guru. I've been called a guru. You guys, I'm not your guru. Find your own. But you guys are your own guru. But I want you to pay attention. Even though I had all this knowledge, and even though I knew what I was supposed to do for other people, sure, that's what I do for a living. I help people get out of their shit and create whatever the life they want. And all of a sudden I found myself not wanting to live and not wanting to do that. So there was a shift in me that had to take place. So that's when I said, you know what, this darkness, this depression, this demon that's showing up, because some people have stated that depression is a demon or a demonic spirit that takes a hold of you. Yes, you can say it's that too. Whatever your belief system is, you go with it, okay? Now, when it kept showing up and I kept having these thoughts, and I was raised to rebuke Satan. I was raised to rebuke all the bad and the witchcraft and all of that. But when I went inward and I realized, wait, this isn't coming from some source outside of me. This isn't coming from something that I was taught how to deal with. So this is showing up in my life because it needs to teach me something. So ask yourself what it is this depression is teaching you. What is the gift in this depression? Healer, heal thyself. Yeah, that's a big one. So I needed to find a mentor, and I needed to find processes. Processes like the ones that I gave you guys yesterday with the forgiveness. The first person I needed to forgive was myself for allowing this, that, and the other, for allowing myself not to see the red flags, for allowing me, like, I think I've written a few letters to myself throughout these last 2 years, because the forgiveness process is something that always comes up again. Why? Because we feel unworthiness at times, okay? But not only that, I wrote letters to my mom, I wrote letters to my dad, I wrote letters to my brothers, to my sisters, to my ex. I think I have another one coming up because he's coming up again. Not the husband, we're cool. The other ex. And there was a lot of things that I was blaming them for. So know that this process is something that I constantly go back to. And it's one of the ones that I finish. I did, your mom told me. So it's a process that you have to go through, and there's different ways. So sentence writing is another process that I learned from Shelby, but I didn't really learn that from her. I learned this from a leadership course where they used to have us write our life contract out, right? I never got mine. What didn't you get, Dinah? Oh, no, because these forgiveness letters you never give to the people because you're reeling in some heavy emotions. You're allowing all of your emotions to come up and come out and be processed through the writing, okay? You don't want these letters. You really don't want these letters, especially if they're from someone you love. Like, I would never have given the letters that I wrote to my mom and my dad to them, ever. No. But when you release all this emotion, you realize, wow, I had a lot of this all trapped up in there. Well, when you guys are releasing these emotions, they're going to turn into dis-eases, okay? Louise Hay has an amazing book about that. But you have to have a process. So in our leadership course, we had to write, yo soy, here I'll switch it, yo soy Ariana, una mujer amorosa, apasionada, dedicada, whatever. That wasn't even my contract, but because I had another name, look, I already forgot what my contract was. But I know that we used to write this over and over. Why? Because writing is one of the easiest ways to penetrate straight to the subconscious mind. Like a coach, like the coach bag letters. Oh yeah, no, not like that. Not like that, Dee. No, these letters are way different. So I want you to pay attention to what's coming up, or what patterns keep coming up. What kind of people do you keep attracting? Because your depression will show up if that's what you've allowed it to do, but you want to see what it has to teach you. So out of all these emotions that were showing up, especially the suicidal thoughts and those revenge thoughts, it's like, wait a minute, this demon is showing up as a part of me, so what is it here to teach me? So there's actually this really cool meme, or not a meme, but like one of those pictures, it's a meme, that says, when the devil shows up to meditate, don't rebuke it. Invite this devil to come and meditate with you, because it has something to teach you. Okay? There's a lesson in the depression, in the feeling overwhelmed, in the feeling that you're not doing enough, in the feeling that you are wrong for the person or wrong for the world, or you've been not enough. Okay? So I also want you to pay attention to, when we're depressed, we don't even realize how we're impacting others. I want you to take a look at what your attitude is like when you're depressed. Because when you can identify what the heck is going on with you, and you can, when I kept my journal of how I was feeling and went back to it and noticed, I was like, today was a good day. What did I do? Who did I hang out with? What was I doing? What was I involved in? So it served to me as a barometer to see where my vibration was the highest. Was it dancing? Was it with certain people? Was it doing something outside of my normal? And I would keep this journal. Yes, it requires work, you guys. Depression, you can't just get over it just because you got up off the bed. No, it requires work, and it requires you to really be honest with yourselves and go inward. It's an inward process, okay? The internet's dial up again. So I want you to pay attention to who lives with you when you're going through your depression. Who are you in contact with? And are you being an energy vampire? Are you still on those downward spirals and they're trying to be up? This is why the uppity people and then the people, or not the but the people who are on that lower scale, just they don't seem to line up. They don't seem to. Yes, Eileen, you rebuke any evil, especially when it comes in the form of depression. But after you've asked it, what is it here to teach you? So we just don't vibrate. That's why we fall off. There's people who just fall off of that scale with us because they can't match our vibration. And as you continue to ascend, and as you continue to get in a better mood, and as you continue to oh my God, you guys are crazy. Oh my God, these are like childhood friends here showing up tonight. That's awesome. So you guys want to pay attention. How are the people that you surround yourself, how are they impacted? I want you to put yourself in their shoes just for a minute and see how they see you from their perspective. One of the biggest things that I had to learn throughout my depression was that people loved me unconditionally, whether I was in a pissy mood or not, whether I was being aggressive or not. And I think that's where we want to really pay attention, that when we can see ourselves from the other person's perspective, that's when there's a lot of healing and a lot of growth. So something that really helped me a lot through my depression was, it's a change of perception. So the exercise is, you put your name on a piece of paper, the other person's name on another piece of paper, and then you have a fight. Okay? You are taking the place of you, and then you're going around and putting yourself in the place of them. And you would act like them, sit like them, stand like them, talk like them, whatever, move around like them. And you guys actually have this back and forth. The third component here is a neutral party. The neutral party will always be somebody that you look up to, somebody who you feel doesn't judge you, somebody who you feel is going to always love you unconditionally. So a lot of the times this neutral party is going to be an angel, it can be God, it can be the universe, it can be Buddha, it can be a grandparent who's already passed away. Normally I don't recommend those because they had egos and then you can jump into their ego, but anyway. So somebody totally neutral, that then you can go from this fight, from being in your shoes, from being in that person's shoes, to being in that neutral position and watching what just happened. And without ego and without judgment, just speaking what you just saw and what you just heard. Because when you can remove yourself from being in all of that muck and see it from somebody else's perspective, or even objectively where you just have the facts, not the assumptions, because it's the assumptions that mess us up, you guys can get from that downward spiral going upwards. So what did I do? I journaled who I was with and what kind of day I had. I journaled what kind of emotions were coming up for me. I journaled what like what activities I did throughout the day. And I also had a gratitude journal. Gratitude journal is probably what saved me for the most part, where every day I would write three things that I was grateful for. You know, the shoes on my feet, the roof over my head, the comfortable bed I slept in. And then the next day it would be the phone, the internet line, and the TV shows that I can watch. Maybe the next day was all the DVDs that I have for entertainment. And then it was the car I have in my garage, the gas or the money that I have to buy the things I want. And then the next, so you keep going and you keep going and you keep going. So you want to, when you're in those downward spirals, you go back to this list and then you start to read everything that you're grateful for. Because one of the biggest things that shifted my perception and my depression was being grateful every single day. And if the only thing I had to be grateful for was that depression that day, guess what? That's what I was going to be grateful for. Because I knew that at some point this was a temporary, that it was a temporary state. Okay? So, find a mentor, invest in yourself, or find people who make and bring you that joy or that happiness or that enthusiasm, or who can get you out of that state. But here's the thing, don't be that person who constantly shows up with your freaking face and expect others to cheer you up. Because then you'd be that energy vampire we speak of. Okay? So, do any of you guys have, let's see, like the saying says, even when you think you are doing good, you're always the villain in someone else's story. It's so freaking true. It's so very true. So, take a look at your belief systems. What do you believe about yourself? Are you enough? Take a look at your belief systems on money, because a lot of the times our depressions can come from money. And I'll have a money assignment for you guys soon. That's why I had you today. List all your jobs out and then notice how you've increased in value. And even if you did a turn like me where I was making really good money, you guys, had vacation, had insurance, had all this great stuff, and the universe said, "Nyeh." But I realized that in one of my requests to the universe is, I want to have part-time hours, I want to make my own schedule, I want to have everybody I work with loves me, and I'm sure that the majority of you who have worked with me on a professional level, that's all I get from you guys is love. And I created, and I even froze it. I even froze my job. Didn't even realize what job I was freezing at the time. But I froze my own self-employment. I wasn't freezing my underwriting job. I could not believe, because what I had wrote down was not where I wanted to be in life. So when that opportunity came and I finally took this piece of paper out of the fridge, I'm like, oh my gosh, I asked for part-time hours, the ability to still travel, the ability to make good, decent money. Like, there was a lot more specifics on this little piece of paper, this little blue piece of paper in my freezer, that when I melted it and thought it out and I realized what I had frozen, I had realized that I had created my dream life. The one that I'm living right now, the one where I get to help people on a consistent basis because this is my passion. Okay? My sister, girl, you changed your diaper. If that's not love, I don't know what is. Yeah. So there is a lot of, there is a passion that you need to figure out. What is it that you really want to do? So one of the things that helped me discover that was, a lot of the times you'll hear teachers ask the kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I remember I always wanted to be a nurse. And I always wanted to be a nurse and a nurse. And then I thought about, well, what properties does a nurse have right now that I hold? Well, when you think of a nurse, you think about someone who heals, right? They're not a doctor, they don't know it all, but it's someone who heals, someone who makes somebody feel better. And I realized, well, as a kid, I always wanted to be a nurse. So am I anywhere near what I'm doing? Absolutely. I actually think that what I'm doing now has helped not only myself, but so many more people on a whole different level, and you're not stuck with the big old doctor bill, okay? Think of your kids who want to be firefighters or who want to be superheroes. What would that entail? What would that entail for you guys? What did you guys want to be? Did you want to be a fairy? Maybe you play with rocks now. Maybe you own a crystal shop, or maybe you had a crystal shop. So pay attention to what your dreams were as a child growing up, because you're going to find a lot in that little inner child that we've locked up. And that's another thing that I had to get out of my depression, was I needed to act like a child. I colored. In that time, I was, because my dad was put away, so I colored. I sent him coloring books. So there was a lot of things that I had to do to get this inner child out to play. So, hi Jess. So, hi Carolina. So, I want you guys to pay attention. What was it that you liked to do as a child? And then kind of level it up to what you do now. Maybe you guys always wanted to be a chef, and you guys aren't in the kitchen. but you guys get a lot of passion from being in the kitchen. Maybe you wanted to be a baker. So I want you guys to pay attention to what is it that you wanted to do when you were little. A lot of the girls want to be princesses. I know I did. Okay. Okay, so I wanted to be a veterinarian, love plants and animals. So Estela, I can tell you right now that if you're ever in a depressed mode and you go into your garden, it'll lift you. Okay? That's why you also have your cats. Your cats will always bring you out of that when you start petting them, when you start caring for them. As a kid, I wanted to be a dancer and dance with Celia Cruz. So Lena, a lot of your depression is cured with the dancing, okay? And if you don't have the dancing, you probably aren't where you want to be. So whether it's your hobby or whether it's your passion, okay? And I'm pretty sure you can still dance with Celia Cruz, just on a different realm. You read my, yeah. All right, Vicky, that was probably for you. So do you want to do those things that are going to assist you in getting your vibration up to those higher scales, okay? But take inventory, you guys. Take inventory of who you surround yourself with. And I know some of you may live with someone that you can't really change. But here's the thing. Imagine how hard it's been for you to change. So just think of something. You could think of weight. You can think of hair color. You can think of whatever. There is something, a habit that you wanted to change. Maybe it's smoking. Maybe it's drinking. Okay? Imagine how, if you had a difficult time with that, how hard it or how long it took. So imagine trying to change someone else. If it was hard for you, I killed 2 aloe plants. It's okay. It might not even have been you. It might have been somebody there who was throwing bad energy at them. So, because plants do, you guys, plants, let me tell you, plants pick up on everything. And a lot of times if you're throwing energy at something or someone, I had a plant actually like dry up on me one time when my client left all their shit here, which is fine. I clear my house anyway, but I realized that's what they did, and that's why this plant died so quickly. What if you didn't know what you wanted to be, but one day you wanted to be a nurse and the next day a lawyer? Okay, so if you don't know what you wanted to be when you were a kid, let me put it to you this way. I don't ever accept I don't knows out of clients' mouths, ever. If you're my client, you know this. Why do you feel that way? I don't know. Well, if you did, what would you be? So let's just say you wanted to be a nurse one day and a lawyer the next. So there's something about healing and having justice in the same thing that you probably want to put together. So maybe civil rights. Maybe you might want to volunteer into something where you can, maybe hospices. But not only the hospice there, but how about we figure out, does this person have a will? Does this person have all of their paperwork in order? You want to be creative as to where or how you're going to get into that, okay? So I probably made this about an hour now, but any questions on what else I did? But I knew that I had to move my body. I knew these were things that, and I knew I had to get a mentor. I knew I had to get help from an outside source, because even though I had all of the tools, believe me, you guys, I have tools for days. This is why I'm able to assist people. But even though I knew I had all the tools, I still went through it. Why? Because and here's my gift in this whole situation of me being depressed and attempting suicide, was that if none of that would have happened, you wouldn't see who I am today. Ariana, the Ariana that you guys see now. If it weren't for that breakup and meeting that person, okay, you guys would not, I can guarantee you that the person that you guys see today would not exist. I don't know, it would probably be a very different version, a very mediocre version. So, if you guys have no more questions, I'm going to go back and I'm going to upload this emotional scale guidance, and I'm going to give you guys a few more statistics and stuff like that on the page. But if you guys haven't done so, I'm going to upload this on my YouTube channel. It should be up by tomorrow. But if you guys haven't already, subscribe, share the channel, share the knowledge. You guys have been amazing with the overwhelming responses as to everything. Desde que era una niña miraba mis sueños como eran los tsunamis y cosas así. Algunas veces miro cosas y un día orando sentí que estaba levitando y todo. Siento que no estoy lista. Georgina, so you're talking about maybe anxiety that you're getting from what's going on right now. So pay attention to where you're at on the scale, and then pay attention to what makes you happy. And if you don't know what makes you happy, this is the point where I tell you, go start doing things outside of your normal that make you uncomfortable. You have to take that first step. Nobody's gonna do it for you. And being depressed will shoo off a lot of people. You will soon have no friends if you continue to be that way. I'm not talking to you, Georgina, I'm just talking in general. But you wanna figure out what makes you passionate, what makes you happy, and start doing those things. And one of the biggest lessons that this quarantine can teach us is, are we running from home? Is there something at home we don't wanna face? Because I can tell you right now that I just recently had a session over the phone where they actually preferred it because, and I told them, I said, well, your triggers will be at home. So if you want to do this, we could do it on the phone and you can see how relaxed you can be in your own environment. A lot of times we're running from the environment. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I hope you guys got something out of it. Again, if you guys are in that downward scale, know that there's a way to go up it. Okay, so I actually have this this thing that I bought. I'm pretty sure it was at Ross. And you guys can, oh, here. No, you guys can't see it that way. All right, so it says, be kind, daring, creative, funny, positive, loving, honest, genuine, fearless, generous, original, brave, optimistic, grateful, unique, be happy. So, los dejo con eso. I'm hoping that you guys were able to get something of value out of this this live. I'm pouring my heart out to you guys. And I'm pretty sure that I'll get deeper into my story more along the lines when we get into other things. But I want you guys, again, if you guys are in this depressed state, pay attention to who's watching you. Pay attention, especially if you have kids. Is that what you're trying to show them? Because I can tell you right now that growing up, I had a very functioning person who was depressed all the time. And their anger and their rage came out a lot of the time, so it's what I learned. So luckily, I was able to catch those things and I got out of an abusive relationship before it got physical. But I attracted these kind of relationships because I was used to it at home. So that's not the case anymore. I think that the family dynamic has shifted in such a lovely and beautiful way that now as children we're able to help our parents get out of their funks. But sometimes they are so stubborn. Mom, I love you. So I'm gonna say go ahead and good night. You guys take care and I will see you guys soon, even if it's virtually. Let me know if you guys need the assistance. I am still offering sessions and I will be releasing a package really soon. Take care, bye.